So there's two parts. There's the cranking, which is to say, is the starting system making the crankshaft spin? The other part is, does the engine start running by itself? So there's two parts. There's crank, and then 2 is start and run. And a lot of times if you're talking to somebody, they're going to mix up those two. They're going to say it won't crank when it'll turn, it just won't start. And they're going to say it won't start when it won't even crank. Okay, so I'm out in the parking lot, 9 o'clock at night, whatever. I'm out in the parking lot, and I jump in my car, and I hit the start, and it's going run. Won't start though. If the engine is cranking at if the engine is cranking at normal speed, will a jump start help me?
No.
Nope. How do I know? Because the battery isn't the problem. If it's cranking at normal speed, the battery's not the problem.
It's the starter.
No. If the starter was bad, it wouldn't crank at normal speed. It just won't start. Okay, it could be it could be out of gas. But it ain't the battery and it ain't the starter, because if it cranks at normal speed, that means the starting system's working fine and the battery's working fine. Get it? Two different things. There's the crank and then there's the start and run. Now, I go in, jump in my car, I hit the start and it's going whoa, whoa.
That's the battery.
Whoa.
The starter. The battery.
Could be the battery, could be high resistance in the connectors, could be a bunch of things, but could a jump start, somebody comes with their car and hooks up the battery cables to mine,
Yeah.
could that help?
Yes.
Yeah, probably would. I'll tell you another easy way to figure out the voltage, because we don't always have voltmeters. Okay, so what do? Turn on the headlights. Turn on the headlights. You know how bright the headlights should be, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm in there and I suspect the battery's bad and I turn the headlights on and the headlights are normal brightness, do I have a battery problem?
No.
Mm-mm. So a lot of times I'll use the headlights as kind of a cheap, simple ghetto way of figuring out whether I got a good voltage or not. Okay, so roar, slow crank. That's what that's called. Okay, I turn on my headlights. My headlights are dim.
That's the battery.
It's a battery. However, if but the headlights are bright, that tells me it's the starting system. See, this is why we need to understand this stuff, so that we can get all this stuff figured out without having to break out the tools. I mean, it's cool to break out the tools, but are you really going to drive around with the scan tool and a freaking meter? I mean, I do, but that's. So, these are the things we need to understand, and what we need to do is we need to start thinking more about, well, what does this mean, and what does this mean? There's a QR code right here. You need to get after it because they need to know how much pizza to. You want me to walk you what?
Is it in the morning or afternoon?
It is 6:30 to 8:30 on a Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night. Get on it, folks. Get on it. And like I said, I'm going to be driving a van over there, but there's only going to be 11 seats. So
how do you get on the van? Is it who first come, first serve?
First come, first serve, yeah.
I'll be here at 5.
Okay, there you go.
Well, I'm even practice
Yeah,
early.
that's the way to plan. So, what are the elements of the starting system? Elements. Number 1, battery, because the battery is a power source, right? So we got to go back to our training about circuits, 4 parts of every circuit. That'd be the power source, the load, the controls, and the conductors, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so the elements of the starting system are the battery, the starter motor. Starter motor is the thing that turns. Yes, the starter relay, because it's big current starter relay. Oh no. You know how I can tell my life sucks? You know what I got for lunch? What are you doing? I see. You know what my lunch is today? Leftovers from Vince's. What up?
Okay, yeah. That's right.
Meatballs.
Yeah, it's freaking
Spicy
meatballs.
chicken with cardboard.
What? Chicken? What? Delicious.
Where's the paper?
Alright, so there's the starter relay,
What day is it?
starter switch.
When's it?
March
19.
19th?
That controls the relay. Number
Get to
5
that day.
is conductors, because we definitely got that. Number 6 is the ring gear. Boot it up or, yeah, ring gear. And number 7 is going to be the engine. Elements of the starting circuit. Remember, all we're trying to do with the starting circuit is we're trying to rotate the crankshaft until the engine can run on its own power. Get out the clay. That's a ring gear right there. See, it's got teeth. That's bolted to the crankshaft. So if I engage a gear with this and start it to spin, it's going to turn the crankshaft. Yeah. Starter motor. Right. It's electrical, right? It's a motor.
Yeah.
Eyes up front, children. Yeah, you need to watch that video. It's a trip. I mean, it's true. I mean, 70% of the time I look like I'm freaking homeless, but the other 30% you can tell I'm really thinking hard on the fly about the best thing to say. And then I say something completely different. See that gear right there? That's the pinion. Pinion. Like it's a little nut, right? It looks like a little nut. See that gear right there? What we're gonna do is we're gonna apply voltage to this thing. This thing, the starter solenoid, is gonna kick this piece out so it makes contact with this, and then it's gonna start this thing. Motor is gonna start it spinning, and that's how the ring gear is going to make the crankshaft turn. And as it makes the crankshaft turn, pistons are gonna go up and down, yeah? And we're going to be firing the injectors and firing the spark plugs, and hopefully when I have this combustion inside the cylinder, it's going to create a massive increase in temperature, which is going to cause a massive increase in pressure, which is going to push the piston down, and pretty soon the engine is going to start running on its own. Then we have to back that thing off of this. And the rest is victory. Hey, we replaced the oxygen sensors in the dually yesterday. Big change, big change. Which tells us that they needed to be changed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the old oxygen sensors here somewhere. Yeah. Well, that was the good one. That was the good one. This was the bad one. See the difference? Yeah, I know, right? And the funny thing was, they just did it out in the freaking street out here.
Yeah.
Didn't even, I mean, because the good thing is it was high enough to where they didn't have to They could just roll around in carts and get it. 4 wires. That's oh. What's this nonsense? What's this? Muy sospechoso. Yeah, well, that could be much of the problem. Who knows? Not me, but we're getting there. We saw some funny numbers on the scan tool data, so I gotta keep after that thing.
Is it the mass airflow sensor?
I'm suspecting so. Because at idle, it's showing a load percentage of 45%, which makes 0 sense. And then you rev it up to 3,000 and the load percentage goes down. So, yeah, I'm very suspicious about that mass airflow sensor.
Let's see if it was clean.
Yeah, but we cleaned it, so I'm coming to the conclusion that on an older vehicle like this, you end up replacing so many parts that you should have just got a newer vehicle.
That's your next.
Because the problem is, I mean, I can fix every. How come I'm the only one?
Someone got kidnapped. Watch.
Oh, there it goes.
Someone got
Child
kidnapped.
A.M. Ambrose.
You're crazy for that.
That's what that was here.
Who'd they get abducted by?
Aliens exist. Oh, what happened?
Who'd they get abducted by?
Oh, there we go.
What? Motor, because why do you have big conductors anyway?
More electricity. Or more voltage.
Not more voltage, more
current.
power. What's it called?
More current.
Yeah, ampacity is the ability of a wire to carry current. That's why the biggest wire you have is going to the starter motor, because the starter motor is going to draw the most current, like 200 amps. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. That's like 10 times more than the freaking fuel pump pulls.
Damn.
Yeah, so the biggest wire in the vehicle is always going to go to the starter motor, because that's the one that draws the most current. Look, we choose conductor size based on ampacity, the ability to carry current. We choose insulation size based on the voltage. So that's what you need to know about that. But if my engine is cranking at normal speed, hooking it up to your battery isn't going to help.
No.
It might help if I keep cranking it, because as I keep cranking it, look, as I keep cranking the starter motor, think of a battery as like a balloon, right? As I keep cranking the starter motor, I keep letting more and more air out of the balloon. As I let more and more air out of the balloon, what happens to the pressure inside the balloon?
It lowers.
So I let air out of the balloon and the pressure's going to go up?
No, it's gonna go down.
No, it's going to go down. Okay, well, think of the battery as a balloon. If the pressure goes down in the balloon, what's electrical pressure called? Voltage is correct, thank you. Which is why, as we use the starter motor, what's going to keep happening to the battery voltage?
It's gonna go down.
It's going to keep going down. Yep. Good. No, the alternator, if you're just cranking the engine, the alternator's not really going to be pumping any juice. Because remember, the alternator needs to be spinning fast. Besides, it wouldn't surprise me if they blocked the alternator at that point. We'll put it this way, there's no way the alternator is going to be charging the battery as fast as you're draining it by using the starter motor. Put it that way. That's probably the best way to think about it. Now, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of different parts of the circuit. Electrical parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a whole bunch of electrical parts. It's not the world's most complicated circuit. It does have a relay in it. It's not even really a complicated circuit. But we just need to get familiar with the parts, and we need to get familiar with the operation such that, see, here's the thing, such that when you call up AAA, which is what you should do, when you call up the auto club and they say, well, should we just send someone out for a battery service? Because dudes drive around little pickups with batteries and a battery tester. You can say, no, it cranks normal speed, it just won't run. Therefore, sending out battery dude is not going to help. Because if you're not careful, they're going to send out battery dude, and then you're gonna realize that you need a tow because he ain't going to be able to fix it. And then, you know, so now you've already spent what, 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Facts.
Now you got to wait for the tow truck.
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Can you teach self-respect? You can encourage it. What are the limits of our influence? What are the proper limits of our influence? Do we have any influence? Yeah. So today, thanks. Turn. So the starter motor is just going to turn, but the thing is, we need to push the pinion gear, which is on the starter shaft. We need to push the pinion gear out in order for it to mesh with the ring gear, because we can't have the starter motor touching the ring gear all the time. So what we do is we have a solenoid, starter solenoid, that pushes the pinion gear out so that when the starter motor spins, it will be in contact with the ring gear. Now I showed you the flex plate here and the flywheel there. Both of them have ring gear. Yes, all these cars are going to have a ring gear. They're going to have a ring gear, and that's going to be a big old ring about, oh, I don't know, maybe 88 teeth. Let's just say 90 for fun. So if it's got 90 teeth and the pinion gear has 10 teeth, what's the ratio? 9 to 1 is correct, because the ratio of 90 to 10 is 9 to 1. 9 to 1. Now since the bigger gear is being driven by the smaller gear, let's make sure we're picturing this correctly in our minds. That has 10 teeth. That's an interesting hypothesis. You're blaming someone for someone else's behavior? That's interesting. So let's see, that's 90 teeth right there. How comforting. Hey, I believe we've talked about this. Mr. Via. God damn it. Crank the engine, turn the crankshaft until
The engine can run on its own.
the engine can run on its own. Now right here I have the flywheel from the old C6 Corvette, and I noticed that my good friend, yeah, names cannot be used, but if you look at this flywheel, you can see that somebody was doing a whole bunch of clutch dumps on it. Thanks, bro.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, see that? Yeah, whole bunch of clutch dumps on my beautiful. So I mean, it's an easy job to replace the clutch. Only like 15 hours labor. What?
Take up the engine.
Clutch dumps is when you rev up the engine and then you take your foot off the clutch really quick. And what it does is it blows big freaking hard spots in your freaking flywheel.
How much that cost to change?
How much did that cost to change? Like $3,000 by the time I was done. Yeah.
Out the magic wallet.
Out comes the magic wallet. Well, speaking of the magic wallet, yeah, I was up because, you know, the furnace doesn't work in my house. So I was up in the attic doing all kinds of testing and stuff. And, yeah, didn't get fixed. So since it didn't get fixed, I was like, oh, good. You know, if I call a professional HVAC mechanic, you know what they're going to do? They're going to go up there. They're going to say, you know, this thing is 22 years old. You need to what?
Buy a new one.
Buy a new one. Yeah. How much is that? Like $8 grand?
And Rowcliffe goes, here's my magic wallet.
Yeah, that's right. Here, yeah, I just put it on a credit card at 30%. What's 30? Put on a credit card of 30%. This is why you better freaking get your act together when it comes to self-discipline. I put it on a credit card at 30% APR. That's annual percentage rate. I got $8,000. I put it on 30% APR. By the end of the year, if I don't pay it off, by the end of the year, how much is the interest going to be on an $8,000 furnace at 30%?
I want to say like,
What? This is just by the end of the year. If I don't get paid, if I don't pay it off by the end of the year, it's just going to roll over. Keep going. Okay.
10% interest.
30% interest on an $8,000 purchase. How much more is it going to be by the end of the year? Anybody got ones?
In my wallet that I left at home.
Let's go. 30% at freaking $8,000. Okay, you want me to get this out? Because I'll get this out. Let's see. 8 times 3. Okay, how do you multiply 30%? It's 0.3, right? Okay. What's 8,000 times 0.3? $2,400. So if you buy something on a credit card that costs $8,000, what?
I said it was close. I was close.
Yeah. So I'll buy 24,000.
Yeah, he was like,
Not 24,000.
I need to learn how to say that.
It's not
2,400.
2,400. There you go.
It's gonna go
Yep.
up by 2,400.
So if I buy something for $8,000 and I don't pay it off by the end of the year, I'm going to end up paying $2,400 on interest on that. So in 3 years,
Which is gonna
I
be
will have exceeded the original
10,400.
purchase price. That's why people get in trouble with credit cards. That's why you gotta freaking figure out a better way. Start making more money somehow.
I'll become a
Thus
professional
endeth
Fortnite.
the lesson. No, it'll be cool. I'm gonna be a YouTube influencer and
I'm gonna be a famous TikToker.
yep. I don't have any friends, but I'm gonna have 7 million followers.
What's your
Anyways, point I was trying to make was
highway?
there's 2 things. We need to turn the crankshaft because the crankshaft's connected to the pistons, and as the crankshaft turns, the pistons are going to be going like this. The fuel injectors are going to be firing. The spark plugs are going to be firing, and hopefully, what happens is the engine starts running on its own. Now we don't need the starter motor to crank the engine and rotate the crankshaft anymore because now the pistons are doing it. So now we can back up off the starting system and the engine's already running. We have no more use for the starting system because the engine already started, yeah?
Yeah.
So, what I wanted to tell you about that is, yeah. That's wrong. Did you see that?
On its own,
Why it's wrong? Why is it wrong?
because there's no apostrophe on its.
Is that wrong?
I think.
Is that wrong?
Yeah.
like the it?
Yeah. It's doesn't have.
How's it supposed to be?
Just like
IT apostrophe S is, it is,
it
no?
is.
Apostrophe is possessive, right? Makes it possessive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
know,
makes
but
it-
this
it
is,
is.
this is a weird English thing though. Yeah, okay.
On its own.
Okay.
On it is own.
I don't know, maybe I should review that. I don't know. Okay, so the starting system is an electrical system primarily, right? And what we're doing is we're taking electrical power and we're turning it into mechanical power through the starter motor. What does the starter motor do? The starter motor takes electrical energy and turns it into mechanical energy, right? Oh, did you fix the stutter on the on that video?
Not yet.
Yeah, okay.
I was busy last night.
Yeah, good. All right, when you can. You know, I was up in the attic trying to fix this stupid furnace. Dealing with the electric motor. Fortunately, they had a wiring diagram. Okay, I know how to do wiring diagrams. Actually, what they also do is they have a onboard diagnostics. So I was able to look at the LED light flashing. Bop, bop, bop. Bop, bop, bop. Bop, bop, bop. Bop, bop, bop. Code 33. One of these switches was open. You just shake them to reset them, put them back in, test the resistance here and here. Money. So it worked for a while until it overheated and then. Well, this capacitor was bad. Fortunately, I had a
An actual
meter
one
that could read
laying around.
capacitance. So I ordered the capacitor. It'll be here tomorrow. Might fix it. Doubt it. Might fix it. I think I lost a bearing in the blower motor. I don't want to replace that. I mean, I could do the work, but jeez, find someone who does it all day long. And that was $8,000. So how long does the furnace last? 20 years. So by the time this new furnace goes bad, I'll be 81. You gotta realize, folks, you don't want to get old and be broke. Live in a freaking cold house.
Or no.
Yeah, I
Senior
just
citizen.
went to the freaking stove and turned on the freaking burner.
Left it on all night.
Yeah, yeah, that's how people get freaking killed. CO2, just pumping out carbon monoxide like crazy. Not CO2, CO. Anyway, the elements of the starting system consist of like the battery, which is the power source, because we know every circuit has 4 parts. That would be the power source, the load, the controls, and the conductors, yeah? So the battery is the power source, the starter motor is the load, the starter relay and the starter switch are the controls, and there's the conductor. The ring gear is how we interface the starter motor with the engine itself. Ring gear is on the flex plate or the flywheel. It's bolted to the back of the crankshaft. So when the ring gear spins, it's going to be turning the crankshaft, and turning the crankshaft is going to make the pistons go up and down, and that's going to enable the engine to start on its own. Where's my ring gear? Where's the flex plate? Not the flywheel. Where's the flex plate? Oh, it's right here. Duh. Okay. Yep, there's the ring gear right there. So we got starter motor. In fact, I pulled out a starter motor. It might be easier to see. Yeah, this one right here. It's got those teeth right there. So what this thing's going to do is it's going to push the teeth out like this so that they make contact with this gear. And it's going to make this start spinning, so this is going to go round and round. Mr. Do I have jumper cables back there?
I'm not sure.
Can you look? Do I have jumper cables back there? In one of those cabinets, maybe the far one? Yeah, there's 3 electrical cabinets. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to control the starter motor with a starter relay because it's really high amperage.
Ow.
And we're going to use the starter switch to control the starter relay. But let's look at the easy and obvious part of the circuit. We're going to have B plus right there, which is what?
Battery
Battery
positive.
positive. And then it's going to come here to a switch. And then it's going to come here to what's that?
A motor.
There's a motor. Yeah, that's the starter motor. What's this thing?
A ground.
That's correct. And ground is basically battery negative, right?
Yeah.
B minus. I thought for sure there was some battery cables in here. Well, I've been wrong before. Shoot.
Anything in there?
That is quite odd.
Maybe in the shop.
Well. Alright, so B plus is, how many volts is B plus anyway?
12.
12 volts is correct. So 12 volts. Okay, good. Nominal 12 volts. It's actually going to be 12.6 to 13.2, but we'll call it 12 volts.